Nothing ruins a vacation faster than getting tricked out of your hard-earned money, and scams are constantly evolving. Here are the worst travel scams you've probably never heard of that are tricking innocent travelers like you every single day. We actually fell for number 3 recently and lost $400. Scam number 1 is the black boot scam, which our tour guide in Mexico warned us about, but this can happen anywhere in the world. Imagine walking around taking in the sights when suddenly a police officer approaches you and asks you to give them your ID or passport so they can run it through their database. Or sometimes they'll need to check your wallet for counterfeit bills that are floating around the area. Or really any other random excuse to get a hold of your documents. You might not even understand what's going on because of the language barrier, but when someone in uniform asks for our ID, especially in another country, our natural reaction is to hand it over. But once they have it, they'll make up something that you did wrong and they won't give it back until you pay them a fine. Or they'll just straight up pickpocket you in the process. But here's a little secret that our tour guide shared with us. Always take a peek at their boots. Apparently, real police officers always wear fancy official black boots as part of their uniform. Knockoff police uniforms are easy for scammers to get, but most of them are too cheap to actually invest in those fancy black boots. This makes it super easy to spot a fake, at least in Mexico where I was. But this scam also happens in other parts of the world. One commenter shared her experience of a fake official in a Rome train station who was pickpocketing people. And one time in Medellin, Colombia, a guy in my hostel bought some illegal substances off the streets, only for a fake officer to swoop in, flash a badge, and threaten jail time if the guy didn't cough up a bribe. This is an extra sneaky scam because we're all programmed to respect authority, and nobody wants to get in trouble with police in a foreign country. There's also another type of trustworthy authority figure that scams travelers that we'll get to in a second. But if you ever find yourself in this situation with police, just tell them you prefer to handle it in the police station. Whether the cop is fake or just corrupt, you'll be amazed at how fast they magically disappear. We've all met those super enthusiastic waiters who start recommending amazing sounding dishes before we even see the menu.
Oh, you have to try our new house special appetizer. It's not on the menu yet, but the chef just prepared it fresh.
It sounds delicious, and since you're in a restaurant that looks like it's pretty affordable, the prices must be reasonable. But then the bill arrives and that special little appetizer ends up costing more than your main course. And there's an even sneakier version of this friendly waiter scam happening in bars all around the world. In places where drinks are flowing, some waiters have mastered the art of the quick cleanup. They're super fast to clean up your empty bottles from your table because that's just good service, right? But look around at the locals the next time you're out drinking. You might notice that many of them have like 20 or 30 empty bottles crammed on their small tiny tables. And they're not being messy, they're being smart. They're keeping track of exactly how many drinks they've ordered, so there's no mysterious extra charges on their bill at the end of the night. To avoid restaurant scams when traveling, first, always know the price before you consume anything, and it even might be a good idea to snap a picture of the menu to prevent any switcheroos. Second, keep all of your empties until you're ready to pay. And third, give this video a thumbs up so I know to make more scams videos like this. This next one hits close to home because it happened to us twice in different countries. We were at a clinic in Thailand, this isn't Thailand, where my wife needed to see a doctor. While we were there, they kept pressuring me to get my knee bandage change, and I wasn't even the patient. It was insane, and they literally wouldn't take no for an answer. That's because many foreign hospitals in tourist areas know that travelers have insurance that will reimburse them for their expenses. So they inflate their prices and try to squeeze in as many services as humanly possible. But it gets worse because in another trip, we had to visit the emergency room in Mexico. The doctor on shift came into our room with his own personal credit card machine and charged us a doctor's fee that was completely separate from the hospital fee. It was kind of weird because he kept swiping the card over and over because there was no internet service or signal in the room we were in. But looking back, he probably didn't want to walk the 20 steps outside to the reception area because he didn't want anyone else to see how much he was charging. During our treatment, he kept asking us about our jobs and all our travels, and at the time I thought he was just being friendly, but now I realize he was probably just trying to figure out how much money he could squeeze out of us. To avoid getting scammed at hospitals abroad, always ask for the prices up front. They might not be able to tell you exactly, but always try to get at least a ballpark estimate before you accept any treatment. And if you have time, check local Facebook groups or do some Googling to see what normal prices should be in your destination, which are probably going to be shockingly low if you're used to the US healthcare system. Also, don't be surprised if some doctor's offices ask for you to pay in cash. This seems sketchy, but it happens to me all the time here in Latin America. Just make sure you don't fall for the switcheroo scam when you're actually getting that cash, which we'll get to in a second. But while we're talking about healthcare coverage abroad, I want to warn you about something that's not necessarily a scam, but could cost you thousands if you're not careful. A lot of travelers think they're covered by their credit card's travel insurance, including some Project Untethered subscribers that it pulled. But relying on your credit card for coverage can be a huge risk, and you always gotta read the fine print. When credit cards advertise travel insurance, they usually mean coverage for delayed flights or lost luggage, not medical expenses. Only a tiny handful of credit cards actually cover overseas medical emergencies, and I'll link to those below. And even those have limits as low as $2,500. So pretty much if you have a serious accident, then you're screwed. Plus, buried in that fine print, you'll find some weird exclusions like your trip must have been arranged by a travel agent. It's almost like they're setting up loopholes to avoid paying. Anyway, I've had my fair share of accidents while traveling and have racked up $20,000 in medical expenses, including 2 surgeries abroad. If I would have been relying on credit cards to cover me, I would be tens of thousands of dollars poor, which is why I'm thankful I had purchased a real travel insurance policy with Safety Wing, who was kind enough to partner with me on this video. Unlike many travel insurance companies that make you fill out long, confusing forms to get coverage, Safety Wing makes it super easy and you can sign up with just a few clicks, even if you're already on your trip. Their Nomad Insurance Essential Plan is like normal travel medical insurance for emergencies, and their Nomad Insurance Complete Plan is for long-term nomads who want a comprehensive health insurance plan with travel benefits. Other more traditional travel insurance companies force you to choose fixed dates for your trip, then penalize you or avoid your coverage if you need to adjust those dates. But Safety Wing offers both fixed length pricing as well as a monthly subscription model if you don't know the end date of your trip and you need some extra flexibility. Nomad Essential Plans start at just a few dollars per day, so if you need coverage, you can use my link down in the description where you can sign up in a matter of minutes. That said, with any travel insurance you choose, I highly recommend taking a second to do some research and see how the company defines what a pre-existing condition is, because that's where most people run into issues. Just recently, my wife Diane came down with hemorrhagic dengue on day 2 of our trip. But since mosquito-borne diseases can take several days before you actually feel symptoms, it was considered a pre-existing condition and her claim was denied. These days, many travelers are ditching hotels for vacation rentals, and you can find some pretty awesome deals, at least when the property actually exists. Because even popular booking sites like Booking.com and Airbnb sometimes get infiltrated by fake listings. And let me tell you, there is nothing worse than paying a bunch of money to rent out an imaginary property. One red flag to look out for is if the host tried to sneak their direct contact information into the listing itself, like inside of their Airbnb photos. This doesn't automatically mean foul play, and we've actually saved thousands of dollars by negotiating off platform. But as soon as you leave the platform, you open yourself up to risk. So never send money to anyone until you've actually checked the property with your own eyes. Also, watch out for the too good to be true listings. If that penthouse with the ocean view costs about the same as the hostel, then something's probably up. Next up is the money exchange switcheroo scam that someone shared in the comments. This guy said that he's been to India 6 different times and he still got caught up in this one, and it's something that could happen anywhere in the world. He spotted a money exchange sign advertising 86 rupees per euro, but then when he went to exchange his money, he realized he got shortchanged. And when he went to point out the rate at the sign, he realized that those 86 rupees per euro had magically changed to 68 rupees per euro. It turns out the exchanger's buddy had swapped out the sign while the guy wasn't looking. To avoid this type of nonsense, I always just stick to ATMs to take out the local currency. But even those aren't totally safe anymore because of the next new ATM scam that's making rounds. We all know about those hidden ATM card skimmers that steal your info, but ATM scams have evolved. Now they're putting actual glue in the card slots so that you can't put in your card. Why would they do that? Well, it forces you to use the new contactless feature. You can find these on many ATMs worldwide where you just have to tap your card to log into your account. In theory, this should be safer than inserting your card because you don't have to worry about those skimmers. The problem is when you insert your card, your account automatically logs out when your card is returned to you. But when you use contactless, you have to manually remember to hit the log out button. If you just grab your cash and walk away, then your account still stays open for a few seconds. Just long enough for that stranger waiting nearby to walk up and drain your accounts. Out of all the scams, I honestly think that airport scams are the worst though. Either you get scammed before you even reach your destination, which is a total vibe killer, or you get hit right before leaving home, which leaves you with bitter memories of your whole trip. Most people don't realize it, but airports are swarming with scammers. And if you want to learn how to spot them, watch this video next. I break down exactly what to look for to keep your money and your dignity safe. Like, subscribe, do the things. Love you. Bye-bye.